All right. Hello.
Hi.
All right. So, what is your name and where are you originally from?
My name is Morgan McKay, and I'm originally from Gardnerville, Nevada.
Very nice. So why? Oh, when did you move to South Korea, and why did you choose to go to South Korea?
I moved to Korea almost 4 months ago in August 2013, and I chose Korea because I wanted to live and teach abroad, and I had a friend who recommended it. She had been to Korea before and had great things to say, and she helped me find a job here. And I wouldn't have moved here if I didn't get the job. So basically, I moved for the job.
Um, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when you first arrived?
Um, Definitely being illiterate is a really weird feeling. Walking off of a plane, and there's a lot of things that are written in English, but there's a lot of things that aren't. And even things that don't matter, like insignificant. You go to the grocery store and all the chip labels are in Korean. Um, it becomes a little bit overwhelming when it's new and it's everywhere. And I think also being unfamiliar with how things work, like if I need to go to the dentist or to the doctor. Here I don't have to make an appointment, but at home I wouldn't know that unless someone told me that. Little things like that, how things work.
Huh. Um, how did you cope with those challenges?
I learned how to read, which is helped. I don't know often what the words are saying, but at least I can recognize them and it's not so foreign. And then just having a lot of patience is really important because sometimes I don't know how things work. Sometimes, getting my documentation to be a permanent or to be a resident here, I had no idea if it was going to take a week or a month, and it took 2 months. So, not knowing how things work, you just really have to have patience and making friends with people who can help you out, who know how things work.
Um, what are some challenges that you still face today, and how are you coping? I mean, obviously, 4 months isn't that long, but you have to be better off than when you started.
Yeah, I think now I've been pretty adjusted. I think even though I've learned some words in the language, it would still be so much more helpful if I actually knew how to speak Korean and could read all or could understand all of the words that I can read the letters to. And so I think I've tried to learn more as much as I can.
Um, what do you miss about? What do you miss the most about your home country?
Ooh, definitely my family and my friends, but food. It's possible to find Western food here, and I really like Korean food. But what I wouldn't give for some cheap Western, like some Mexican food or things like that, just things that are comfortable and familiar and they taste like home. Um, I also miss being able to communicate what I want when I need to. Like I could go into a bank and ask someone a question, or go into the post office and ask the person behind the counter a question if I don't know how to mail a package. Here I don't have that luxury, and sometimes I miss doing that.
Yeah, that'd be hard. Um, how has or have they has your employer helped you transition into South Korea culture? And are there any other supportive services that have helped you transition into the culture outside of your work?
Yeah, the work they did a lot of stuff for us as far as making us feel comfortable. They set up our apartments and they give some introductions the first day about like culture and what to expect with working with um, like working with Korean parents and Korean students, which might be different than working back home. Um, they also help us with things like doctor's appointments and things. They'll call and set it up, and then we have Korean staff at the school that sometimes will come with us if we need a translator. They're also outside of school. There's it's called the Seoul Global Center, and it makes it so there's so many foreigners, not so many, but they're very welcoming to foreigners. If you need anything, if you need a lawyer, if you need workers' rights things, if you need passport or visa or things like that, you can go to the Global Center, and they kind of have a wide variety of things to help you get assimilated. They have language courses, free cooking classes, and things like that.
Huh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What are some things that you like most about living in South Korea?
Well, I like Seoul specifically because it's such a huge modern city. The efficiency of Korea is really nice. If you want something done in 2 days, it'll be done in a day and a half. Things just work really well and really efficient. I also like that there's a really close expat community. A lot of foreigners, we're really close. I think because we are so foreign. There's a huge community. Everyone networks. You can go to certain places and you make friends really easily. And there's a really, really tight-knit expat community. And I also really like the culture. It's unbelievable how many times people have gone out of their way to help me for no reason. Just they thought I looked lost, so they come up and ask if I'm lost. And turns out I was. So things like that are really nice. They're very respectful. I feel very safe here. There's not a lot of crime. That makes me feel really safe, and I like that aspect of the culture. There's so much respect, and for being so conformist of a culture, it's very welcoming for the most part. I found it's been welcoming for me.
If you have friends, family, or colleagues there, how are they adjusting into the South Korean culture?
Everyone's different. I have a lot of colleagues. Most people have adjusted really well. Not everyone, but I found the more open-minded you are, and the more that you understand that if you wanted things to be the way they are at home, you should have stayed at home. Then the more you are accepting of that and willing to be open-minded and easygoing, it's really easy to transition here.
If you have family living abroad, how do you communicate with them? How often?
I communicate with Skype and social media, and I talk to them at least 2 or 3 times a week.
How can people prepare for life in South Korea before traveling there?
Learning a couple useful phrases, maybe like hello and thank you, might be helpful. Also, getting familiar with the Hangul alphabet, Korean language alphabet, is a little bit helpful. You still can get by without it. And I think the most important thing to do before you come here is just relax. It's not scary. It's not some foreign land that's just you're gonna feel like an outsider. It's very, very easy to live here.
All right. Has not knowing any of the language before you went there made it harder to transition into the culture? And especially compared to when you went to Spain, where you knew a good amount of the language before you went there?
Yes and no. Here I am an outsider. I physically look like an outsider. People see me coming, they automatically know that they have to, not they have to, but they automatically most of the time speak English to me. So I haven't been forced into a situation where not many times have I been forced into a situation where I have to just point and grunt. It has made it a little bit difficult though, because I kind of have to do, if I go into a store and I don't get exactly what I want, and I don't know how to say what I want, then I have to either take what they gave me or take something else. So it's a little bit harder, but most people here, almost everyone speaks enough English that it's not even an issue to not be part of the, to speak the language. But in Spain, having a bit of the language, I was much more part of the culture than I am here. I made friends. I had to speak all the time in Spanish. Some people there knew English. They weren't very welcoming to speak it, unless they absolutely had to, unless I was in tears, couldn't communicate with what I wanted, then they would speak English. But that made me a lot more part of the actual culture. Here, I'm here and I'm living, and I'm part of the education community and culture, but I'm not necessarily part of the culture. So it's different. I can get by without using it, but I'm not as deep in the culture.
All right, and then what has been the harder transition, being a student in Spain, because you were a student there and you went there specifically to study the language and the culture, or being an employer or an employee of South Korea, where you don't know any of the language, but you're there to teach children about the Western culture. What was harder, I guess?
It's hard to say which one was harder. It's different. I want to say in Spain it was a little bit more difficult because I was expected to speak Spanish all the time. That was the purpose of my trip going there. Here, I'm allowed and I'm expected to speak English. There's a whole category of visa. When they allow people into the country, they don't allow many work visas, but there's a whole category specifically for people like me. They want people to come here and bring our culture and bring our language and only English at school. And I'm surrounded by 30 other English speakers all day. So that makes it very easy. I don't have to assimilate as much. I don't feel obligated to. I don't feel obligated to learn Korean as much as I did feel obligated to learn Spanish. And that made it a little bit more difficult because learning language is really frustrating sometimes. The thing that was nice about Spain though is I could go into a restaurant, maybe I don't know all the words, but I can read the menu, I know what the letters are, I know what sounds they make, and I could butcher the word, but at least I have an idea of what it is. And Europe has a similar, is more similar to the United States than Korea is. So that made it easier, but it's different. I wouldn't say one was extremely hard, one was extremely easy. They both have different aspects that made them easier together. But I think overall, I want to say probably living here has been the easiest for just the initial shock. There wasn't a culture shock.
Well, all right. Thank you for our interview.
Yeah, thank you so much.